A dangerous heat wave building across the United States, and it's not just the heat I'm concerned about, it's how vulnerable that leaves us to tropical activity. Let's get right to it tonight. I want to show you what I'm concerned about and watching over the next several days. There are several storms that are forming, and breaking tonight, we have now 4 areas in the Atlantic that we're watching very, very closely for you that could turn into named tropical systems in the coming days. That is new tonight, and we are also watching Hurricane Hilary with 120 miles per hour winds. It is now a major Category 3 hurricane as it moves toward the north, and this could be the first tropical system to impact the California coast since 1939 if it makes a direct hit. If it goes into parts of Mexico and then up, it will be the first tropical system to impact them that way since 1997. Either way, it has been a while. Let's talk about this heat dome that's coming in because it's going to play a major role across the United States. It's really going to make things cook in areas that just have been boiling all of July into August. It has been a very long time of intense heat. That's bringing up drought concerns, wildfire concerns, and another heat wave, probably the worst that we've seen so far this year. It's not only the strongest heat dome, it's also the most widespread one. So let me show you how this shapes up. Friday into Saturday, into Sunday especially, this is starting to get its legs, and it is really flexing its muscles going into next week. Notice to the bottom of your screen there, we've got a big slug of tropical moisture here. That could be a low-end tropical system. We'll call it a friendly tropical system at this point because we need to watch out for the not-so-friendly ones that could move into that same area because this high pressure leaves us vulnerable. It's the equivalent of leaving the back door open in your house all day long. You don't know what's going to come in that door, and in this case, the high pressure does that. There's a very relaxed jet stream. In fact, the jet stream does this over the United States, goes way up here, and then cuts down here across New England. That means New England is going to feature strong storms over the next week. From New York City to Washington, D.C., up through parts of Boston, some of the stormiest weather you've had all summer. For the rest of us in the United States, it's going to mean hot conditions unless you get a tropical system. And again, this heat dome's like leaving the door open. Let's look at that heat because it builds into the 100s by Saturday for areas like Oklahoma and Texas, down to Louisiana. Just stifling hot. In the Carolinas, we're still in the low to mid 80s, but look what happens by Sunday. We're pushing 90. By the time we get into Monday, mid 90s, and it doesn't stop there. Look at how many people are at or near 100 degrees by Tuesday as this heat wave is anchoring down across the United States. Many in pink right here at or around 100 degrees. This not good because in that it's going to mean very dry conditions as well. A drought taking shape in parts of Texas, parts of the Great Plains, and we need to watch that closely because these areas are just not going to get a drop of rain in the coming week or more, depending on how long this ridge wants to hang tight. What I do see happening here is the possibility of a Gulf low, this the friendly one at least for now, will move toward Texas. Could still give flood concerns because you're going from one extreme to the other, from dry conditions to extreme rain, but at least you're getting some rain in Texas. That's what's being highlighted right here. We need to watch this area closely because this wave is going to form in the coming days. Doesn't really stand a chance given the wind shear above it to form into anything until it moves into the Gulf of Mexico. Once it does, it has a chance at becoming a tropical depression or a tropical storm and then giving rain to Texas around that ridge. That would not really impact the southeastern United States in areas like Alabama, Georgia, or the Carolinas. However, we need to look at what's happening back toward the west. There are 3 other areas with likely a 4th splashing down in the Atlantic in the next 24 hours. This would make a total of 5 areas in the Atlantic that we would need to watch. I told you the tropics were waking up, and my, oh my, are they ever. We've gone from one extreme to the other. And I want to show you what's happening right now because we are going to see rain from this first tropical system as early as Sunday, Monday for areas like coastal Louisiana into Texas. Again, this is more of our friendly system as it rides along this high pressure, which my, oh my, This is a stout dome of high pressure. Everything's just going to ride right around it right here, with everything under it being dry and very hot. There are those storms from New York to Washington day after day, folks. If you got family and friends in upstate New York to Washington, D.C., that area is going to be highlighted for strong to severe storms day after day next week. This is going to move to the north, and then our attention turns to what's happening deeper in the Atlantic. We could have a couple of different named systems. In fact, this Euro model shows another one splashing back down into the Gulf of Mexico next weekend, and that needs to be watched as well, with another one out here in the Atlantic. So boom, boom, several needs to be watched. Let's look at rainfall totals with this. Again, I think this is more along the friendly side. You get 2.5 to 4 inches. If it gets more than that, that's when I'd be concerned about more flooding versus beneficial rain for Texas. But right now, it looks to be manageable. Let's look at Hurricane Hilary, a major storm system on the eastern Pacific. Man, monster system tonight. Category 3 hurricane moving toward the north. It will be moving into cooler water, but before it does, it intensifies to a Category 4 hurricane on Friday. It approaches Mexico as a Category 2 with winds at 100 miles per hour. That's when you get into the cooler waters of the Pacific here. But either way, this is going to either skirt the coast and make landfall in Florida and Southern California. But look at this. If this actually does not actually make landfall in Mexico and then slams into Southern California, it would be the first time it's done that since 1939. If it does make landfall in Mexico and then move up, that hasn't happened since 1997. So either way, this is a rare, maybe even historic event for California, because all of our models show whatever this is moving straight through the most populated and most vulnerable areas of California. These areas have dealt with landslides, flooding, and wildfires. In fact, those wildfires have left scars across the mountainous regions, and when you got a tropical system coming in on top of that, it can lead to dangerous situations because there's no vegetation there just to soak it in. Here we are going into Monday. There's lots of wind moving into Southern California, and that's when the peak of that storm will be. It's not the wind, it's the rain that concerns me the most for California. Look at this. From Los Angeles to Vegas, these areas could see 4 to 5, maybe even 6+ inches of rain in a matter of 24 to 36 hours. That is unheard of. From San Diego to LA to Vegas, these areas don't get that much rain in that short a period of time, and the desert certainly is not used to that, so we're going to have to watch that closely for our friends along the West Coast. What I can't stress enough is we do not need to see any tropical system make it into this area of the Gulf of Mexico or the Caribbean. It is just primed up, ready to go. We've got an open can of gasoline sitting right there, and if we get a match near it, it's going to explode. Let's look at that, because I see what's happening here as a little bit of renegade action here. You got a couple of these waves that are eroding away at this extremely dry air that's in place right here. If you remember yesterday, we were talking about how this dry air extended all the way down the Caribbean. Notice how much lower that dry air is influencing the tropics right now. Those waves are eroding it away, okay? So what you have here is a couple of is a problem. You've got a couple of different areas here. There's our first wave trying to form that's going to move into the Gulf this weekend. You've got another in here, another right there, third one there, and a fourth one back toward the Cape Verde Islands. Let's look at them individually, because you've got Invest 98L first. It's looking beefy here, and it is going to continue to move toward the west. I will say the new suite of computer models that came out tonight, a little less confident, and that makes me a little less confident, and this thing may not just completely be a fish storm. There's about 1,000-mile spread in this model run. I don't like it one bit. It's kind of meshed in there with a lot of other tropical activity, so it's kind of having trouble tonight at pinpointing that center of circulation. But once it does, and once it finds it, it's going to be able to pinpoint on where this is going to go. But I don't like to see 1,000-mile spread in the model data right here. I'm confident this is going to stay out to sea, but it also gets me a little more concerned about San Juan and the Lesser Antilles, okay? We also have another area that we're watching down in this area. This is Invest 99L. Watching it as it moves toward the west and then makes a hard turn to the north. Again, gets a little close to the Lesser Antilles for my liking, but it should stay out to sea and move up toward Bermuda. So what about other waves? Look at this. The European model that just came out shows we could have one of these waves move right through the Lesser Antilles and miss that turn. It's like missing your exit off the interstate. It doesn't take the exit until it gets in the Caribbean. Then it decides to go north over Puerto Rico. That could mean a tropical storm or a hurricane could impact Puerto Rico or parts of the Lesser Antilles here. We need to watch that closely. The Windward Islands to Puerto Rico, to Haiti and Dominican Republic, we need to watch it in the coming days, because by a week from now, there could be something that could be a little bit of a surprise right there, with other areas back toward the east needing to be watched. Here we are next Friday, about a week from today. You've got three systems right there, with a fourth trying to crop up here in the Gulf. Needless to say, folks, we're entering a very, very active pattern. What does the GFS American Model Run say? It's picking up on our wave this weekend going into the Texas area. It's got another wave moving into the Gulf next week. That could become something. It's got another little area cropping up in the Caribbean, and then it's moving to next Sunday, one off the coast of the Carolinas in Florida, kind of meandering around in that area. So again, simply put, we need to watch it. It is a very active pattern. We're kind of playing with fire right now when you talk about the high sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic and the fact that the Saharan dust is eroding away with not much kind of ready to go again, okay? And we also have the jet stream slacking up and the back door open because of this heat dome, this big ridge of high pressure settling over us. So simply put, we need to watch it. My commitment here to you, if you're new to following me, is to keep you informed every step of the way. Should anything become a threat, I'm going to shoot you straight. I'm going to tell you it's a concerning threat. I'm also going to tell you when you don't need to worry. And right now, there is not much to be concerned about imminently, okay? But you need to stay dialed in. Don't go 3-4 days without checking in and then something surprise you, okay? I want you to keep checking in if you have interest along the coast, from the islands to the Carolinas to the Gulf states. We need to watch this. This pattern is concerning with how much activity we have brewing right now. I will keep you posted, folks. I hope you have a good night.